But 2020 candidate Democratic Senator Kirsten Gillibrand yesterday ripping President Trump's policies at the border.
President Trump's immigration policy is inhumane, ineffective, and wrong. I cannot tell you how infuriating it is for our president to still be separating children from their parents at our border. I think what President Trump's done on immigration is divisive and hurtful and harmful to our national security.
Chris, what drives me crazy about this conversation is those who sit there and criticize what everyone else is doing and offer no remedy themselves. There's room for a lot of fixes from all different sides because it's a disaster.
That's kind of the Washington way, is to offer criticisms but not solutions. I'll tell you what frustrates me as someone who does a lot of work in Texas is that Kirsten Gillibrand has had plenty of opportunities to go down and tour the border with Senators Cornyn, Senator Cruz, Governor Abbott, and she refuses to do so. So for her to somehow sit in New York and pass judgment on those who actually live and work and represent border states and who are working very closely with the president to try and get these problems fixed is beyond the height of hypocrisy. And she clearly is completely out of touch as to what's going on with the border, where some estimates have as many as 1 in 3 children are being brought in that are by drug traffickers to try and make their way across the border, sent back and then used again. And it's just really that's where the tragedy is here. And the fact is Washington continues to drag its feet, and it's politics. It's a clear case of politics being put over policy.
And it does, Kennedy, seem like it is about politicians, because when you look at all of the reporting from the New York Times on, they've gotten the story right everywhere. They're telling people, look, this is a different group of people that is now coming. It is a humanitarian crisis, no matter how you look at it. Everyone agrees that something must be done, except where it seems the politicians.
Yeah, and for someone who wants to be president, and Kirsten Gillibrand is one of those people who says that she doesn't quite have 1% in the polls because of a gender bias. And I think the problem really is, to Chris's point, an action bias, because you're not really doing anything. To sit around and go, oh my gosh, this is just awful. Isn't this awful? This is awful. It's like, yeah, it is. So what would you do differently? If you were president, what is your vision? First of all, what is your immigration philosophy? What kind of people do you think we should have here? Second of all, when there is an actual problem, what are you going to do about it? How are you going to mobilize Congress? She's in Congress.
Right.
She's a senator. She could work with some of her fellow Republican and Democrat senators, and even some people running for president, and drum up some great ideas in order to fix this and get children out of harm's way.
Yet those are the folks in Congress are the only ones who have the power to do something right now.
Right, and there is a plan on the table. The president did release his immigration plan last week, which was widely panned by both sides of the aisle. It's kind of a non-starter, and there are specific
pushback. Said it was a non-starter.
Yeah, exactly. Mitch McConnell said, like, oh, cool, I look forward to reading this later. Bye, guys.
Buy a cocaine, Mitch.
But
See ya.
There are specific policies coming out of the Democratic 2020 hopefuls. Julian Castro has the most elaborate plan. It might be the most liberal of them, but he's out there leading with it. I understand the objections to what Gillibrand is doing, and it leads this whole conversation about abolishing ICE. But there are Republicans who serve on the border, like Will Hurd, who do not agree at all with Republican orthodoxy about how to address this crisis. I think Jay Johnson has done everyone a great service, especially Democrats, and kind of leading the way to say, it's official, this is a crisis, we need to talk about it in that language. I hope that there's a Gang of 6 bill, Gang of 8 bills, something to come out again where we can get somewhere on this. But the asylum system is ground zero for fixing